Hi, welcome to Contain Strong Language. This is a place where we can stop trying to pretend that we're so impressive and we can have an honest chat about life and work. Thanks for being here. I know there's so much content being thrown at you, so I appreciate you being here. And I hope you enjoy this very real, very raw chat.
So I'm talking with Val Esway today, and we've just been talking about community and changing and uprooting your life and moving somewhere new. So Val, I've dropped you right in it. You just talked about moving to Sacramento after years of living somewhere else. Would you like to sort of talk about where you're at and what's going on?
Sure. So my husband and I are from the Bay Area. We lived in Oakland for decades, as I mentioned, and we moved in the middle of COVID. And we had been thinking that eventually, when we got closer to retirement, that we probably would make a move out of the city. But then when COVID happened and like remote work was much more feasible, we just decided we're here in this place where we're never seeing our friends, we're never getting out, and it was we loved our house, we loved our neighborhood, but it was very like, you know, you felt like you were kind of on top of your neighbors, like literally you could see, hear, and smell them, and
Mm-hmm.
um so like so many people, got a little stir crazy in the middle of all that and just decided maybe now is a better time for us to start thinking about making this move. And so that's what we did. We had planned to probably move somewhere a little more remote. And the more we got to thinking about that, the more we thought these are the weird things that you think about as you start to age. Like, I don't want to have to be airlifted out of a place if something
Mm.
happens to me. So
Yeah.
we decided to not go so remote. And so, we moved to Sacramento, which is an hour and a half away from the Bay Area. Still very easy to get back and see our friends. Still very much a city, although we live in a suburb. But, we live close enough to the city that we have access to all the services.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew it would be a big change. And it's been a very positive change in many ways. And as we discussed earlier, it's really hard to uproot yourself when you are a little older and a little more established in your lives, um, and to just like create a new community. And
Yeah.
we came from a very thriving, very dynamic community. And we still have that community. We just don't have as easy access to it as we did before we moved. And we haven't yet created it, a new one since we moved here.
So what do you think you'll do?
Good question. I've gotten somewhat involved. I'm opening up the politics can of worms.
Go for it.
Yeah. I got somewhat involved in the organization Indivisible. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it is a grassroots organization that seeks to uphold and support democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've actually been involved in that organization since 2016, but they have different chapters like all over. So I've gotten a little bit involved in that community, and I've definitely like met some of our neighbors. Some of our neighbors are really lovely, and we have gotten out. So and I will keep getting out a little more, I think, than I have. But I don't know. How do you find your people? I don't know the answer to that. Like I've met people, but have I met my
Yeah.
people? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how you meet your people. We moved like 2 years ago, like literally 3 roads parallel to where we'd been. And for a long time, we were like, we wanted to leave. We live in the northwest of England, in Stockport, in Manchester. It's rainy. It's fine. It's quite cool, actually. But the place that we'd lived is it's got a great community and it's great for the kids. We've got 2 young kids and school and the nursery and the park. You always bump into people, and it was always like for a while we're like, oh, we want a new challenge, we want to move somewhere else. But it was the community that kept us here, and actually that really works for us as a family while the kids are little. But I don't know. It's hard to break away from that, and I do think it gives you so much. I mean, I created with my friend a little networking group, and it is small. There's like, I don't know, 5 to 10 of us that go out any one time. We go walking.
Mhm.
And so, we didn't really have that community, so we sort of set that up. But I mean, it sounds like with Indivisible, like you are out there doing things. But yeah, I think sometimes it does take creating these spaces.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's not an easy one to solve, is it?
Yeah. It's something that takes time. I like anything that's worthwhile, you have to show up and you have to be consistent, I think.
Mm.
And that's how you get progress in anything that you're trying to achieve, whether it's making friends or, launching a business or even just like learning a new skill.
I mean, looking behind you, so this is like our chipboard kingdom. It's a shed at the bottom of our office, which we've not decorated. But I can see from looking behind you, because we've not spoken before, have we? We've talked on LinkedIn, but we've never
Mhm.
really spoken. I can tell by looking behind you, you're an interesting person. Like you've got stuff that you're into. You can see that. Like you lead a colourful life by the looks of it. Like, so do you find time for yourself to do the stuff that you enjoy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Uh, maybe that's a weird, unexpected benefit of actually not having very many friends. It's like, there's plenty of time to do the things that I want to do. So, you know, but actually the things that I want to do at this point in my life are pretty simple. Like I love cooking. I love cooking for other people. I love playing music and I like to read. I like to create. I definitely like to create. What you're seeing behind me, none of that stuff is like my art, but I have dabbled in like block printing and paper making, and um, I'm a songwriter.
Mm.
So yeah, finding time to do what I want to do is really not that hard,
Hmm.
unless it's something like cleaning the house, and
Yeah,
then
I mean,
suddenly there's
sure.
just no time.
I don't glee. I don't care. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not even going to pretend I do. Um, so songwriting, tell me about that.
Singer songwriter, I had aspirations of being a rock star, and that's really, that's my big passion. But definitely my biggest. It's my thing. And I've been doing it since I was in my early 20s. When I first started, when I was in my early 20s, I thought I was getting started way too late. Like, you know, which is so funny looking back now.
Yeah, I'm
But
so old.
yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, I spent all of my like early 20s, even early 30s, just working, part-time shit jobs as much as I needed to allow myself plenty of time to just play music. And so I was like a waitress, a bartender, retail, and I was trying to make it as a professional musician. I toured, played the Glastonbury Music Festival once. That was pretty cool.
Ooh.
Um, and put out a ton of independently released music, written thousands and thousands of songs, and didn't become a rock star, and
Mm.
had to kind of like make peace with that, and finally get a real job, in like my mid to late 30s. And uh, yeah, I've made peace with it. I mean, it's still very much in my blood and in my bones. Like
Yeah.
I am a songwriter. Like that is who I am in my heart. And
Okay.
I just make money doing other things.
Yeah, it's a shift, isn't it? I always wanted to. I did photography at uni, and then I was a makeup artist, and I did lots of creative things where I was like, "This is it. This is my passion. I'm going to follow. I'm going to make this work, and damn it, I'll make money from this because this is my art." And then yeah, like you say, there came a time, and I was like, actually, there's comfort and joy that comes from being able to like exist, to not have to beat the wall from the door, and to be able to create without that pressure on it.
Hmm.
Do you still then have time to make music? Is it like still part of your weekly, yeah, or daily?
Oh
I don't know.
yeah,
How can you play?
yeah. I still gig regularly.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, by regularly, I guess at this point, my regular amount of gigging is like maybe 4 to 6 shows per year. I just had 2 shows in November, in fact. So, uh, so yeah, it's still very much a part of my life. And before we started rolling the tape here, when we were talking about how my husband and I used to have parties every month, we had for almost 10 years, we had this event called Second Sunday, where every second Sunday from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m., we opened up the house. I made a big pot of soup. We had like 90 people on our email list, and it was like everyone on the list is invited, and bring an instrument and bring a drink if you want, and we're going to play music and show up at 4, and it actually goes until 7. If you're still there at 8, we will kick you out because it's a school night. Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, it was amazing. I mean, and we not to toot our horn, but like our friends are amazing musicians, like world class musicians. And so the music that we made at those events was pretty incredible.
Sounds good.
So I really miss doing that. And I do want to get it started again since we've moved. We just kind of have to meet more people, more musicians.
I don't know, Second Sundays in Sacramento. Yeah, I mean, it sounds, I can see your face light up talking about it. So how long did you do that for? It sounds amazing.
10 years, about. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just the fact you had an email list tells me that, it was a legit, like, that sounds so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a creature of like, if I set something up as this is a regular thing, I will not deviate from it.
Yeah,
it's on.
It's in the calendar.
I don't care if it's Easter.
Yeah.
I don't celebrate that anyway.
Cool, yeah. Second Sunday, it's going on.
Let's play some music.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So you like to host. Some people don't like to have people in their homes. You're not one of them.
Oh no, I love nothing more than to make a big feast and serve people. Like, that's my dream. Yeah. In my other life, I also wanted to be a chef and have my own restaurant.
Are you a foodie?
Oh yeah.
I don't trust anyone who isn't. Like someone who doesn't really have an interest in food, or like doesn't really. Oh, I hope you don't dislike animals, but I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah. People who are just like, it's just food. I mean, also, I don't want to be too precious about it because I realize like I'm so fortunate that I have the means to be able to, and to have food on a very basic level. Like it's an absolute privilege. And it's hard for me to relate to people that just that's not their thing. But to each their own. But yeah, I love to cook. I'm a total geek. Like, I make all my own ferments. And
do you?
Yeah. I'm really snobby about tea.
Say more. What are we drinking?
Yeah. Just black loose tea.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Not the mass produced
situation. I will drink that, but I don't. I like my black loose tea. There's this place in Berkeley called Far Leaves, and I get my tea from them. And the Yunnan Black, that's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Do you feel a bit twitchy if you can't get it?
Yeah, like when I have to just have like a tea bag. Although I like PG tips. Is that a thing? Like,
yeah. I drink Yorkshire tea, and when I go to which I appreciate is not like as grown up as yours, but when I go to Portugal to visit the in-laws and I forget my tea, Andrew, my husband, is not a tea drunk. He doesn't get it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to go and spend like £10 on some substandard tea. That's just not going to be the same, and I'll do it because at this point anything tea will do. But it's yeah. So, tell me about work then for you, Val. Like, what is that? Because I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and like SaaS and Web3, like some of those words I understand, some I don't. Like, what's work for you these days?
Yeah, so I've been working in tech for more than 10 years, I would say. And mostly I've worked in SaaS companies, which is, software as a service. And I have worked in operations and HR and recruiting, people operations, basically. And that is what I did for a lot of my career. And a lot of the companies that I worked at were startups, and a lot of startups fail. So I've been through several of those events where, a layoff happened, a company ran out of money. And over the last couple of years, I just kind of out of necessity pivoted to doing the same type of work, but more just consulting and, freelancing because, my W-2 job ended. And the last one that I even had was part-time the entire time that I had it. So, I had to be creative. And once I started freelancing and consulting, I just realized I really enjoy it. And so about, half of what I do is like HR consulting and recruiting for companies that are looking to hire. And then half of what I do is career coaching and, resume writing, interview coaching, that kind of stuff, working with the individuals. I love more than anything in the work that I do, besides trying to be a rock star, is working one-on-one with individuals, or not even one-on-one, but working with candidates and helping them become successful in their job search, in their interviews, in their careers. And B2B is where you can make a lot more money. And so at this point in my life right now, I haven't, I'm still working on the B2B side of things because B2C is a little more kind of complex in how you can make money. At least for me, it has been. So yeah, I do a little bit of both. And as far as the Web3 aspect goes, the last company that I worked at as an employee was in the Web3 space. And they were a SaaS company, but they made a digital marketing and analytics kind of CRM tool that is built on blockchain and to be used within blockchain. And it can help companies that are working in that space, like basically connect to their potential clients and communicate with them. So that was about as much as I knew about blockchain. I knew what crypto was. And somehow through LinkedIn, you know how you're like connected to a lot of people and you don't actually know who they are or how you ever got connected. So someone in my feed mentioned something about SheFi. And I took another look, and it's this program that is crypto education for women and non-binary people. And it's very comprehensive. Like, I think it's an 8-week program, or it was at the time. Maybe it's a little longer now. And it just teaches you the very basics of blockchain. What is crypto? What is a wallet? What is an NFT? All the things. And so I signed up for that course, and it was really transformative for me. Like, it really changed my life a lot. Not only because I learned way more than I had previously known, but it's a very welcoming and warm and supportive community. And I just started basically volunteering because what I noticed there's a Discord channel. It's very active. So many people in that community had questions about their resumes, about making a career pivot, right? Because so many people come to that program because they want to work in this space. And what I saw was that there's a big knowledge gap. So I just started volunteering and got a little more involved over time. And so now I'm like their in-house recruiter, career advisor, basically. And it's still it's a very, it's a very part-time endeavor, but I run monthly workshops there where I bring in people from the space. I bring in other recruiters, hiring managers, and even just people from the community, and interview them and talk to them about, what are the best practices? What are you looking for when you're hiring? And I also do, one-on-one work. So it's been great. And that's what I do. And, at the end of the day, I would say with everything that I do, what I love to do is to just help people elevate themselves.
Whole, I sound very ignorant here, but like, crypto, blockchain, Web3, like these terms to me feel like I just can't get my hands around them. It just feels so hard to even start to understand. So in a way, it sounds like that. Is it SheFi? Yeah, of course. Address some of the basics, sort of got to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do feel a little bit embarrassed to not know, like, oh, should I know this?
Well, you're not.
Okay.
You're not alone. I mean, it's an emerging technology, and also I want to say that if you hear the word crypto and you think scammy, you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you for thinking that, because there's a lot of scammers out there.
It feels quite hustle, bro.
It is.
Yeah. But it can be that and something else, can't it?
It can be. Yeah. There is another side of it.
Yeah.
There's another whole world within it. And there are, people like, the person that just somehow managed to get elected in this country. There's people like that too. And
yeah,
it's heavy on the bros. It's heavy on the bros. But that's why SheFi is just such a breath of fresh air, because one thing that I've learned as I've been in this space a little longer is that blockchain, there are many uses for blockchain that have nothing to do with crypto. So after our call, I'll recommend a couple of resources that you can look at for just like a quick read to kind of give you a little better understanding of it. But yeah, you're not alone if you're just like, I don't know what that stuff.
I feel like, I do want to know. Thank you. Because I think, to talk about AI, because everyone is, but, like a couple of years ago, when this was first emerging, the people that I speak with most are copywriters and freelancers, and we were all shitting ourselves, and rightly so, because the response to it was so defensive, understandably so. People were like, that's bullshit. It's no good. I'm never going to use it. And the people that still feel that way and aren't getting work, or they've changed their mind, they've started using it. So I do think you need to be aware of these emerging technologies. And I think, you don't want to be one of those people that's left behind.
Yeah. Sabrina Romanov was in Laura Acosta's literally academy briefly at the time that I was in it. And I don't know what's happening to my voice. She shares all kinds of AI resources, and I love her whole approach. Is just that, like, I'm going to teach millions of people about how to adopt this technology, and I like the way she frames it. But yeah, there's good and bad in AI for sure.
Yeah. No, I use it daily. It's great for my research and lots of different stuff. So yeah, there's lots of different things. It strikes me that you're quite a multi-passionate person. Mm-hmm. You've got these. Do you define yourself by the work that you do?
No.
That's good.
No.
Well done. I do, and I wish I couldn't. I wish I didn't.
I mean,
yeah, it feels that way.
It's not often that someone ever has asked me to define myself, right? But do I like mentally? No, I like to say I contain multitudes, but if I had to define myself, it would be the essence of who I am is just what I said earlier, which is that I seek to elevate other people. Like, probably if I had to define myself, that's how I would define myself.
So if you have a quiet few months at work, I mean, I don't know if you do, it might be that you're just consistently busy, but
no.
Oh, okay. So what do you do then when things aren't good at work? Is that okay with you? Can you sort of just...
No, I get really stressed out.
Same.
Because because this is honestly 2024 is the first time that I have had no W-2 income, which in the States, it's like
Yeah.
being an employee on someone else's payroll.
Yes. Got you.
Yeah. And, it can be scary. And for the first time, actually, just recently, I have started cold email outreach. And so far, I haven't gotten anything out of it, but I know that that's like it's a numbers game. And it's also, you have to be very targeted and good with your messaging. So there's a lot of factors there. I just started that. And then, so yes, I'm trying to branch out on how I bring in new income sources, and new clients into my into my realm. But yeah, no, I definitely get really stressed out, and um I try not to live in that space though. When I feel it coming on, I try to work with my mind and just be like, oh, there's that again.
Yeah.
And what can
Yeah.
I do to be proactive
Yeah.
so that I'm not just like drowning in that voice?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I relate. I mean, I think about like what can I actually control and what is out of my control. And sometimes like I've done all the things that I can do, and I just need to like just be for a bit. Which I don't know about you. Like, are you someone who's able to relax, go with the flow?
I think so. I think so. At least some of the time I am. Maybe not all the time.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm trying to do at the moment, fairly unsuccessfully, is just to stop consuming so much content. Like I although a friend approached me yesterday and was like, "Hey, do you want access to this course?" And I was like, "Yes, 100%." Because I love learning. It sounds like you do too. Um, and so it can be hard to switch that taking things in off. And I think at a certain point you do need to.
I can relate to that so much.
Mm.
Can't tell you how many email lists I'm on that have to do with marketing and business growth and growth hacking and all the things. And the thing is I'm really interested in that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And there are times when, it's like I have, you know, 100 emails in my inbox and I just don't have time to read all of these. So I've been feeling like I need to tone it down or scale it back somehow. So yeah, I totally relate to that.
um, Helen Talbot, who I had on the pod a few weeks ago, talked about this, and because I was like, I don't know why I always want to consume so much, and she said, well, you create a lot, you put a lot of things out, so it doesn't surprise me that you want to take a lot in. And I was like, huh.
Mhm.
She's like, for people that take a lot in, so say, they're a psychotherapist or a counselor, and they're, all the time having this input, then maybe as a sort of form of something therapeutic that they want to create and put things out. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think I said previously, I don't know why I keep talking about this because it's depressing, but like my reading list is like almost exclusively like parenting books and self-development. And I love that shit. I can't get enough of it. Like, I'm like, help me understand myself,
Mhm.
help me understand my like relationships and help me at work. Because I do, like, for me, I being successful is a key part of my identity. And all the other psychology and behavioral stuff. But yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm, okay.
I am so with you there. Like I have a rule. I mean, it's a loose rule. I don't always follow it, but for books, one nonfiction and one fiction.
Mm,
Uh,
I like it.
because it's easy. I mean, I love fiction. Oh my God, I just read this really dark, really amazing book. And of course, I can't at all remember the title or the author.
I never can. Yeah.
It's great. Rachel. Okay, it'll come back to me and I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
message you about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, love fiction. And
Hmm.
then like you, I love learning. So I love, you know, all the books about like mindset, Atomic Habits,
Oh
Mel
yeah.
Robbins has a new book coming out that I'm
Oh,
super
don't, because I'll buy
excited
it.
to read.
Like her.
Yeah, I love her. Big fan of her.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Plus then like since 2016, I've just been reading all these, books about like history and
Mm.
politics and social activism and some of
Oh,
that
you
stuff.
sound like you've got a varied diet. You're okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I'm with you. At some
Yeah.
point, we need to just like focus on our output and put a pause on the input.
Yeah. What sort of thing would make you like put down a book immediately?
I don't ever put a book down immediately,
Bit of a
but I do have a rule that if I'm just not that into it, I don't have to finish it. And
oh,
that
same.
that also applies to like the classics. Like there've been a
Yeah.
few that I've just like I tried, like I can't get into that book. Uh
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So
I think that's
I won't put anything down like right away.
okay. Yeah, I mean, if you don't enjoy it, I think that's a rule for life, isn't it? I feel like I apply that to relationships and work. I'm like, if it's not feeling good, I'm not going to continue.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a perfect rule for life.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that you have to just like push through, like things that can be
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's good to be able to, I think if you follow your gut and your intuition, you
Mm-hmm.
can usually tell the difference between like, this doesn't feel good, so I'm going to stop, or this doesn't
Mm.
feel comfortable, but I'm going to push through anyway.
I find as I'm getting older, I'm better able to do that. Although I have always been quite good at having boundaries, and but then there's a cost that comes with that as well, because if you're always quite you have your walls up and sort of are quite rigid with certain things, and you're not always open to experiences, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay. So going back to the work bit, because I'm interested in like I find recruitment fascinating, because I think it's hard. It has. I don't know if it does in your industry and where you are at the moment, but like in the tradition, in the agency sense, it's obviously had quite a bad reputation for years. But I think at its heart, like recruiting is just such a like honourable thing. Like finding some more meaningful work is great, and it sounds like working with these people and these candidates who are pivoting, like it's important, isn't it?
It is. And I love it. Uh,
Mm,
I love
that's
the
good.
work. And
Yeah.
and I will say that I myself have had dozens and dozens and dozens of experiences with just flaky, shitty recruiters. And they're still out there. And
Oh
there's
yeah.
also many out there who are there because they care. And it's an amazing feeling when you make a match and you
Mm,
find the right person for the role. I will
yeah.
say that, as a recruiter, we work for the company. So as much as we enjoy, I'll only speak for myself. I enjoy making that meaningful connection for the candidate to land their next role, whether it's a career pivot or not. I always love helping make that happen. But at the end of the day, it's the business who pays us.
Yes.
And so that's really who we work for. But that doesn't mean that we cannot also serve the candidate in the process.
Yeah.
That's how I try.
Yeah. The I hear. Yeah, the internal recruitment role is different to that of an agency recruiter, isn't it? So, what advice would you give to someone who's, I don't know, perhaps making a pivot? I was going to say later on in life, but someone who's not 21.
Hmm.
How does someone start again at work?
That is a
Getting.
really good question. I would say, first of all, have faith that you can do it.
Mm,
Don't listen to any voice, whether it's your own or someone else's, that is going to try to limit you before you even get started. So that's number one, because mindset is a big part of making any kind of a transition. And then beyond that, there's a whole bunch of things to do. And number one is definitely if you need to upskill, then work on that. And for different people, that can look different, how they do their upskilling. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go and like get an MBA or get a degree or get a certificate, but for some people, that is what they choose to do, and that's what works for them. So I think so much of it is about just getting clear with yourself about what this change is going to look like for you. And then obviously leverage your network, reach out to people, talk to people within your network and seek to expand your network. Definitely go and talk to people who are where you want to be. Even if, or maybe they're not all the way where you want to be, but they're on the path and they're further along than you are. Try to get knowledge from these people, and always with an approach of, reciprocity, right? Like, I'm not just trying to get something out of you. I want to be able to be helpful to you as well.
Yeah.
And then you have to just be really persistent. You have to, what we were talking about earlier, you have to show up. You have to just keep showing up. Because especially right now, if you're doing work that is anything related to any kind of tech, the market is very saturated with candidates and job seekers. And you have to just be in it for the long haul. I hate to say that, but you have to be patient because it can take time. And I would say go back to being confident. Being confident because you've already proven to yourself that you can do well in one field. And so many of the things, the aspects that made you do well in that one field are things that can apply to whatever you're doing, right? So sometimes I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we know and how we got to where we are. So those are just a few things.
I love that. I think I can relate to it from a freelance point of view, which is that, and I felt this before myself. It's like this year's been tough for a lot of us in the creative freelance space and wider industries, but you can't really afford to be shy anymore.
So true.
Which is hard. Like I'm naturally extroverted. So, I do have some privilege, not privilege, but I do find it easier in that sense. And I have some privileges. But if someone who finds it really hard to go out and be like, oh, hey, I don't know you, but can I take you for lunch to find out about this? Where there's no sort of framework. Like, I think that you're so right about reaching out to other people who are a few steps ahead and being like, hey, what can I learn from you? But like, there isn't really a pathway for that. You just sort of got to figure that out yourself. Unless there is a pathway and I don't know about it.
Yeah. Now, what you said about that you just have to get comfortable putting yourself out there, that's not exactly how you said it, but it's so, so true. And with all the job seekers that I work with, I talk about that. Everyone gets like cringy about the phrase personal brand. And I do too. And you have to be visible. You have to be visible because if you're not, then somebody who maybe doesn't have half of your skills or your smarts, but has a louder voice is going to be the one that gets the opportunity. And so you have to get comfortable with it. I mean, I actually, for years, I resisted being on any kind of social media besides LinkedIn, but I never posted. And I literally, it was just like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I realized that it was holding me back. And so I started. So I started posting on LinkedIn. I started TikTok. I don't love looking at myself on camera. But who cares? And if, I'm not there to look good. I try to look presentable, but you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I hear you. No, and I think it's interesting as well, because I think when people talk about personal brand, and certainly the people that I'm targeting are these founders and these CEOs, but personal brand applies to people all over, doesn't it? You know, and it's like you're talking about, if you're in employment and you're looking to either advance or change or pivot or what have you, it will still serve you well. Yeah, nice. So is there anything that's sort of on your heart that you'd like to discuss that I might have missed, that's sort of front of mind at the moment? And no problem if not.
No, I'd love to know a little bit more about your journey, actually. So
Okay.
you are a ghostwriter and a podcaster and a mother and an extrovert. And I know this much about you. Did I hear you correctly in saying that you also work a job for someone else besides being an entrepreneur? No. You're in this. Okay.
That would tip me over. No, I found I think I might be unemployable. Do you know, actually, I don't know, Val, I think work has changed. Like, I always thought that, like, every boss I had I didn't like, and then I realised that the common denominator was me. And then you're like, you know, maturity is like, am I the problem? Maybe. And so, so I don't like being managed, but I do work hard for my clients. So, I mean, self-employment works well for me right now. So, no, I don't work for anyone else. Yeah, so I got made COVID redundant in 2020. I worked for a creative agency in a fairly, like, junior capacity. And then went back part-time after I had my daughter. And then, yeah, COVID redundant, pregnant with my second, started up, got married the same month. It was like a whole month. I talk about it. Like September 2020 was the month I lost my job, started my own business, found out I was pregnant, the second one, and then also got married, had family over. It was a lot. Yeah. So I started out as a VA because I was like, I've had like 20 plus jobs. And I was like, well, how do I tie all these disparate ends together? Like, what am I good at? So I set out as a VA because it was that time, you know, everyone was suddenly online. And so I was busy, but I wasn't very good at it. I'm not really a process details person. But from that, I got a client who was like, hey, can you help me with this press release? Can you help me with this email campaign? Can you write this? And I realized that I sort of loved writing. So I totally fell into it. And I love it. I'm so lucky.
Wow, that's so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky, and I think I do copywriting and I do ghostwriting. And to be completely truthful, the reason that I pivoted, it's not really pivot, but it's a reframing as a ghostwriter this year, is because there's just like a million copywriters on LinkedIn, and I was like, I want to somehow differentiate myself, and also I like interviewing people, and that's what ghostwriters do a lot of the time. So yeah, so that was the short version. But I've worked loads of jobs: sales, marketing, clean toilets. Which is chalet host.
I've been a toilet cleaner.
Yeah, I mean, work's work, isn't it?
Yeah. I used to clean houses in my early 20s, and I had this one client. We'll just leave on this really fun note. One client who used to clip their toenails and just leave them on the ground in their office, even though like the garbage can was right there.
And they knew you were coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have some sense of decorum, for God's sake.
Yeah. Really? So that was fun. It made me stronger.
Yeah, and resilience. Yeah. Amazing.
So much fun talking to you.
It has. Thank you so much, Val.
Where can I like subscribe to your podcast so I can not miss the episodes?
I'll
places?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and I need to figure out the rest of it. I'll send you a link. But where can more people find out about you, Val, and the work that you do? Because this is about you ultimately.
Yeah, so link on my LinkedIn page, and I have two websites that I don't do that much with, but you know, one of them is rocksolidrecruiting.com and one of them is rocksolidresumes.com.
Great names.
Yeah. Rock Solid. That's me.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much, Val. I hope you have a good rest of weekend. Oh, yes, but you've got a few hours now till you wrap up.
Yeah, it's still early for me. You're my first call of the day, but yeah, okay. Have a great rest of your holiday season and all that. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks, Val.
Hi, thank you. You watched it. You got to the end. That's amazing. Thanks so much. So what is it the YouTubers say? They say like and subscribe. Please, help me out. I've got like 3 subscribers. Thank you. And more information in the show notes. All right. Bye for now.